All right, looks like we're good. Everybody's good,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're finally here after 3 hours of prep time.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Now, we've all imagined ourselves being in the One Piece world building crews and having a cool devil fruit power, getting stronger in whether you're a marine, empowered, or revolutionary. And because One Piece's world building is so vast, you could choose from many different races to give you an advantage. You could soar through the airs of Skype and you could control the seas and survive underwater with a devil fruit as a fishman. You could even be a giant or an Oni. But what if you could combine all those races and perks together to become the ultimate warrior? Well, that's exactly the experience you could have in today's sponsor, BLOODLINE. So, what is BLOODLINE? BLOODLINE Heroes of LITHAS is a card-based fantasy RPG where you can not only collect champions, right, build kingdoms, but also create legendary heirs of your houses by combining the forces of various bloodlines such as orcs, lycans, demons, and dragonborn. And if that intrigues you, BLOODLINE is the game for you. So after building your kingdom from the ground up as a demigod, you can match up with someone of a dragonborn descent and then have one of the strongest kids ever. But not only is the customization good, but the game is visually stunning with 3D realistic graphics and is set in a traditional Western fantasy. So guys, don't wait any longer. Play absolutely free on Android and iOS today by downloading the game from the link in the description below. And if you use my gift code in the description, you'll be given 1 champion token, 100,000 gold, and 100 diamonds free. Guys, it is time for you to download BLOODLINE today. One Piece chapter 1056 breakdown. I'm joined by Vinland D. Ragnar. What do you prefer to be called?
Bro, my name is so messed up. I don't even know how I am.
Yeah, most people refer to you as Ragnar, and then I see your name as Vinland, and I'm like, wait, is this?
I had a phase, just as a disclaimer, I had a phase where, I was watching Vikings, so I came with Ragnar, and then I was watching Vinland Saga, more Vikings, so I said, you know what, for whatever reason, let me add Vinland in front of my name, and it's just one of the most common names.
Now it's just Vinland D.
Vinland Ragnar. People still call me Ragnar. They refuse to call me Vinland.
You can't
but
change,
Vinland's
man.
a good marketing ploy, right? Like, people search for Vinland. You might like One Piece. You stumble on the channel and it works for me. It works for you. But yeah, you can call me Vinland. You can call me Ragnar. It's all good.
Vinland or Ragnar.
Loki, I like the way Ragnar just rolls off, though.
I like Ragnar too. Ragnar feels a bit more, just easy. But I feel it. And I'm also joined by Parvision. What's up, Par?
What's up? This chapter is a great one to talk about, that's for sure.
Yeah. Even though it's like one of those chapters where it doesn't feel like much happened, it's packed. It is jam-packed with so much shit. And I can't wait to talk about it. But first, what we got to talk about, though, is this cover story, my guys. Give me your thoughts on this cover story because the God is back.
You're going to be a little upset at me. Okay.
What do you have to say?
So when I live reacted to this, I was my face instantly glowed like every other Katakuri fan, and I was I was so excited, and then I realized the context because he's not the main character of this mini story. Germa is. He's not, and we know how plot armor works with main characters of the stories. How will it be a story where Germa loses to Katakuri? They're gonna take some. I think they're gonna take some.
Something else has to happen.
Something else has to happen, but it's one way or another they're gonna take some form of W. I'm not gonna say that they're gonna win. They're gonna escape or something, and that's a low-key knock on Katakuri. So once I realized that, I was like, oh, no.
Let me tell you what someone presented to me real quick before Ragnar gives his opinion on it. Someone said, actually, Ragnar, tell me what you think first, because then you might be on the same track.
You sure you want to do that, brother?
Go ahead. I'm gonna just hit the timer real quick. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I was pointing out that I don't know how they get away from a man with future sight, right? Katakuri is a beast. Irrespective of his loss to Luffy, I think a lot of people in hindsight are still arguing if he's above King of the Wildfire. You can debate that.
I think most people think he is.
Yeah. Based on the showing. But I don't see. I said that based on so we saw Chiji show up, we saw Niji show up, right? We have Reiju, we have Yanji, and obviously the last person to show up should be Judge Vinsmoke, right? And so, can these people, really escape from Katakuri? Do we really think they can do that? Is Oda going to embarrass not just Katakuri but also Oven, based on their display? And so I think, I come to a similar conclusion as Parvision, like what's going to happen. Now, I'm not as concerned by it as him. Like, whatever happens, happens. I just want to see what Oda has in store for it. We have the Capone storyline. Now we have the Germa storyline. Where's it all headed?
Low key though, we kind of, because I think Oda might have off-screened Cracker here, because for them to get to this point, I think they had to bypass Cracker already, and Cracker's not been shown. And I think in the last one, they're walking like through a corridor. It was the same like design that Cracker was sitting in. So and Cracker's, I would.
Cracker's really formidable. They should not be able to beat Cracker. That's what I'm saying. Based on what we know about them.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So now I'm like, oh no, please don't do Katakuri like this.
No, and the thing is, if they're able to escape by running through all the commanders that are still there, I mean, it's, again, suspension of disbelief. It comes off as BS. But let me present what I've heard. What if this isn't actually Katakuri or Oven?
Oh, it's Brulee?
It's Brulee.
Okay. That I like that. I haven't heard that. I like that.
I like that as well.
All right.
Because
that's great.
That's more interesting, right? That Brulee, these are mirror animals or mirror copies or whatever, and she's trying to scare them.
But how? But can it? Oh wait, so I don't remember fully from the story. Can a mirror copy mimic your abilities exactly? Katakuri's using not just his base powers. He's using his actual, his Peerless Donuts. Peerless Donuts, yeah.
For someone that would be Brulee. She's been with him this entire time. It's tough because we don't know the extent of it. The only thing, again, if it is Katakuri, even when I saw it, right, I got hyped initially, but then I was like, okay, with this happening, remember at the beginning when we saw the two people there? And it was like, oh, that got to be Germa.
The shadows.
Oda could throw us off. Yeah, the shadows. Oda could throw us off and then bring you two random people there. It's like, oh, no, these are the two people I was talking about. It wasn't actually Germa. Because even if Judge shows up, Judge is not beating Katakuri or Oven. So,
I mean, I wouldn't mind if the cover story ended with a sudden disturbance that was never really revealed, and they had to go and address it, right?
I don't know. I think I'm past that now. I need answers. I need answers.
Yeah,
even though this chapter left like it was some great cliffhangers for us to talk, because as YouTubers and people that talk about the story, cliffhangers are great for us, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because we get to speculate, and so. I liked where it got left off, even with the Sabo stuff, and there's like a glaring, I think, elephant in the room that hasn't been talked about. I didn't even talk about it in my review. I'll mention it here when we get there. But Oda's leaving so many breadcrumbs behind, but I really can't wait for the answer. So in this cover story, I need a resolution. Yeah. Right. Even if it's pound, right? I need a resolution here.
Yeah. I think on that note too, I think that's like a lot of people were asking me about this chapter in general. Like, isn't this just straightforward? Like talking about the thing at the end, and I was just like, this is like Oda. Oda does this where like, if it's a break week, he would leave it on something that makes you think about One Piece more than if he were to drop a chapter in the first place. Like, and now 100% the way this chapter and the previous chapters ended, we have more than enough conversations for just 1 week of break,
Yes. For sure.
It'd be interesting. I mean, when do you guys think that we're going to see, aside from Kaido, Big Mom again? Because, defeated.
It's going to be so random.
Rescued by the Big One Pirates. Do you think she'll appear in the cover story of returning?
In this cover story? No, I don't think so.
I don't like to speculate on the Big Mom thing because I'm not like I'm on the board where like her last words is, "This won't kill me." She was staring at the magma. She's alive. Gonna live. She's definitely alive. Now speculating when she's gonna come back, that's just putting yourself in a hole because Oda's gonna, like Brago said, it's gonna be so.
It's gonna be random.
Do you think the door has been opened for Big Mom and Kaido to actually come back for the final war? Since Oda doesn't kill his characters, he's saving them for a reason. You crushed their dreams, but he even emphasized in an interview, I think, where he said that the reason he really doesn't do it is because he loves the message that so long as you're not dead, you can always, dream another day for tomorrow. And so basically, Big Mom and Kaido are still alive. Their dreams endure, right? And so,
Big Mom's character arc has not been resolved. It's
exactly.
Not over.
And so, I
thought
Kaido's
Kaido's isn't either.
And he's kind of and his character, right? His flashback, it was kind of
it's incomplete.
I also
and it's like, so it seems as if they might come back and with these ancient weapons around which they wanted. Will they get their hands on?
No, I don't think they're going to be that much focus in the story.
But my thing is like the problem with them. Even though I think here's another thing, Brago. Like we saw what Green Bull had done with King and Queen. What exactly happened after that?
Well, we kind of get an idea from this chapter. Apparently, they become beautiful.
I think, King. I don't know how King can become even more beautiful, but I do think King is somebody I think participates in the final war.
But where'd they go?
I think where they go is irrelevant. You know what I mean? Just because like
Wano, or are they?
Yeah, I think they can inhabit Wano or leave Wano. They both can fly, right? So it's just like they can leave if they want to.
But Greenbow had drained them, right? And I'm thinking when he ran away from Shanks' hockey, did he
take them with him?
Did the Marines never? He wanted a battleship to show up, but like, what did he do? Like, he go back there and get them, or he just run away from the island?
Well, Greenbow can fly as well, so he probably just turned tail. I don't think he took them with him.
Yeah,
I think it was just with King and Queen, they're gonna Queen. The thing is, Queen is. It seems like he's a true scientist, right? Like he's somebody that likes to experiment, enjoy shit like that. So maybe who knows? Maybe he's happy that Kaido got defeated. He can finally just live his dream and do what he wants to do. And now King doesn't have to, I think, go with the flow as much as he used to either. Yeah. Because King had kind of given up on his initial dream of Kaido being Joy Boy. He's like, all right, it is what it is. You saved me.
And speaking to that, Brago, because the legend and the rumor of Joy Boy is spreading, remember this, Who's Who was in prison, right? He was locked up somewhere when he learned of the sun god Nika. If King the Wildfire was left behind in Wano or wherever he's imprisoned, what if, on Wano, because the legend of Joy Boy is spreading akin to Ryuma, right? The sword god. What if the legend of Joy Boy spreads to the prison and King the Wildfire, while he's in prison, as a parallel to Who's Who, hears of Luffy as Joy Boy? What does that
What's
do?
funny about that, though, is it's still a legend. Like, Wano doesn't know who Joy Boy is. They just kind of like...
Oh, true. No, but they know that Joy Boy is
Kaido. So the Beast Pirates would know it's
King,
Luffy.
Yeah, that it was Luffy. They can probably put two and two together.
Yeah, so... And they're not on the island anymore, apparently. Well, given the situation. They're probably going to be gone before King
I would think
back.
they left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think... So, I don't know. I don't want to focus too much on King and Queen right now. But, I think overall that they're going to show up at some point, especially King in the final war, because of what his initial goal was. And you don't just let that go, I think. And I think he's been waiting for Kaido to make a move. That's why Kaido is he was initially trying to go against the world. And I think King is going to support Luffy, even if it's not really supporting Luffy, but going against, what is it, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So that's kind of where we are with that. Now, let's get to the chapter, right? Yep. We start off and... We were just talking about Raizo and Shinobu. Like, they're drained to the bone almost, right? And initially in my review, I said this just shows the power of an admiral, where somewhat of a casual attack turned Raizo and Shinobu into skin and bones, which more than likely, if they were not attended to, they probably would die, seemingly. But, this is One Piece, but you know how things go. And I guess, I don't know, what do you guys feel about this scene? I don't know if there's much importance there. Do you guys want to talk about that?
I was just laughing because Shinobu was off screen, but last week 10:55 I was like, damn, Green Bull hit the wrong person. He should have hit Shinobu. And then we get the skinny one, and then
I did see I saw a coloring of the chapter when I just Googled online, and I think I saw close to Denjiro you can kind of see Shinobu, who's a little bit smaller, kind of, based on the coloring. Maybe the coloring's a little bit off.
Oh, later on.
In that panel, Shinobu was hit, but, it's like a pink. She's wearing pink in the panel, based on the person that colored it. And so it did seem like she was included, but she's just tiny compared to Denjiro. Maybe. I don't know what the size.
Yeah, Denjiro is much larger than Shinobu. Much bigger,
yeah. So like she was like kind of like, down by his waist, very small. Yeah. And was struck. But
to me, the funniest part of this page was they're in this state, and we have the three best doctors in the verse, Law, Chopper, and Marco, and we don't know where Marco is. And then we look at who's treating them, and it's just Mr. Miyagi, and I'm like,
where are these guys?
Apparently, the insurance coverage doesn't work here. They don't got universal coverage for the best.
No,
wasn't that one of the like the earlier or one of the biggest One Piece theories for Wano, right? Like that Marco the Doctor and Law the Doctor and Chopper would all team
they're gonna
up.
find out how to get rid of Smile.
Yeah, they don't give a shit though. Apparently,
Marco doesn't give a shit. Marco's gone, bro. Marco left another note like, "Yo, I'll be back soon, boys." But nah, this scene was like, all right, it's cool. But again, it's just showing just, if it continued, it would have been bad for a lot of people.
Yeah. I think another
now that you mentioned
another note that hit me was I completely didn't realize Kinemon wasn't there, and I was like, damn, the Scabbards are low key that forgettable.
Well, the reason why I knew Kinemon wasn't there was because everyone was comparing what Kaido had to go against as opposed to what Green Bull had to go against. Like, people were spamming me about that. So that's the only reason why I realized Kinemon wasn't there. But as far as impact, I don't think much would have been different. But it's
like, but bro, your point about Marco actually kind of stands out to me. And again, this goes back to what we were saying earlier before the stream about how some people were talking about Zoro and the disappointments over that. But with Marco, it's like Marco is we got from Zoe, right, which has been leading up to this moment with the Pineapple Man and Luffy, having the image of Marco in his head, remembering him from Marineford, and Ace's crewmate. Ace died, and the bond they should share over that. Marco and Luffy don't really interact that much, right? Like, there's nothing really said. They're about to leave one. Now, look, we have another chapter. They haven't left yet. There's still Yamato, right? We'll get to that in a moment. Rushing to join Momonosuke, I think, might have like a Vivi moment, right, where he's like thanking them for saving Wano as they depart, and they'll meet up again. But the idea that Marco doesn't interact with Ace's brother before they depart.
Yeah, I never realized that.
I don't know how to feel about that. I don't know how to feel about that.
But remember, like, a lot of time has passed.
They could have.
Like, it's been so much time that's been passing.
And that's the thing. Oda, I think. Do you think that Oda used that 7 days as a cop out to not
talk about
Wano
things?
Too long?
No, to not. Right, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, because of a bunch of chapters that he could have included of what happened, and he decided not to.
Bro, even the Green Bull stuff, right? Like, I feel like some of that was cut short because even Green Bull's purpose for being there kind of feels empty, right? Shanks pulling up, and then now I'm seeing reports that the goal was for Film Red to happen during the final saga, right? Like, that was supposed to kick it off. It was supposed to be a part of it, right?
Yeah.
So
advertisement.
Yes, that it was like we talked about
Bravo
it.
Was right.
Shanks came to promote Film Red, and so like everything. So maybe Oda was trying to stretch things to make it there to see how things would play out. Now it's like, okay, dang, we gotta kind of wrap this up because Film Red is here. He wanted just Shanks thing to kind of coincide as much as possible, and I think it was perfectly lined up, almost a bit too perfect that it seemed like it was planned, and it was.
Yeah.
Right.
And as a result, Brago, one second, you guys.
I would just add the whole with time skips in general. When we got the time skip originally, we didn't see what happened. We got the scenes after the fact, and that might be what's happening here, where like we got the 7 days and another few days, and so maybe later on we'll see like, oh, do you remember what like Marco said, blah blah blah, and then we get the scene, and that might be like a soft way to like make this time relevant, where it's like we have so many questions about like why didn't these characters interact, why didn't they go to Ryuma's grave, or that kind of thing. And it might be that they did and we just don't see it now, and it'll be relevant later on, like when Zoro gets to like Blacken is,
when he gets another power up,
he'll remember
he had the flashback
to like, oh, this was like I had this feeling at Ryuma's grave or something like that. So
and that's one of the things that I've been thinking, where even with Marco, that maybe wherever Luffy heads next, maybe Marco had said something to them, and Oda decided to save time during the 7 days. Like, hey, I'll be here. Meet me on this island if you want to come and visit Ace or whatever. Because the direction that they're heading might be in that direction. We'll see what happens wherever they go on the island. Because, oftentimes you'll come across different islands on your path to your ultimate destination, right? And so whatever islands are lying ahead, we know that, from what I saw from Joe Three Skulls Theories on Twitter, we know that I think Whitebeard's territory is ahead of wherever they're going when they leave Wano. We'll get to that obviously later on in the video, And so, one of those islands might be the place where the Whitebeard pirates had buried Ace, because that seems like something that needs to happen. Again, going back to the Marco thing, I can't see or fathom, aside from the Zoro stuff, because I know there's lots of stuff that people wanted to happen. I can't personally fathom how Marco just dips. I find that just inconceivable that you can just dip and Ace's brothers right here. What are you in such a hurry? Now, as an explanation for what they're in such a hurry for, we find out more about Buggy this chapter, and who else potentially might be joining or have joined, the Cross Guild, with Weevil. And so maybe he's rushing back home because, he doesn't want anything to happen to the territory, right? Because he's supposed to be, quote unquote, protecting it. So that's one explanation.
Yeah, it's funny with the Marco thing. Like, even when we go to the next page of the chapter, it's like, we find out there's a whole town that was burned down and these people are in bandages still. It's like, Marco could have helped them. Marco could have been like, oh yeah.
Listen, Marco is like me, bro. I feel like Marco is just like, he doesn't care about shit like this anymore. Like, he's like, bro,
don't say that. You care. Don't say that.
No, when I mean, like, it's certain things that he's just like, man, I'm just over it. I'm cool on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Damn. Where Brago's like, damn, there's an admiral in town. That's tough.
Yeah, right. It's like, that's it. I'm done with it. No, but I think Marco is just like, in regards to personality though, where he's not the person that's like really as involved with a lot of this shit unless he has to be. And even in the story, it felt like he was passing it off to the new era, right? And that's kind of like what's been happening. Even in this chapter, it's accentuating that. It's about the new era. Yeah. Marco's like, yo, my time is over. Even though Marco's 40, right? Like, you're like, Marco, you're still really fucking young. Like, I don't know why you think the new era have to take over right now. Like, Marco, let me see. Marco's 45. He's 45 years old. He's still really young, but he's saying, no, it's time for the new era. So for him, he's like, I'm going to help out where I need to. These people are still alive, right? We have Chopper, we have Law, we have Mr. Miyagi. They'll be all right, So I really don't expect that much from Marco. I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
In that regard, not the age part of you relating to him, but low key, Marco is grinding like he was part of the golden age, and he's been, I think, like for most of his life. Maybe if he's 45 now, then maybe 35 years of his life he was probably part of the Whitebeard Pirates, right?
Yeah, for a long time. Yeah,
so like.
How old was he? How old was he when was he the same age as Shanks and Buggy, or a little bit older than them?
All I know is he joined as an apprentice and he grinded his way to the commander spot.
Okay. So
I don't know, like, because there's Shanks things that are coming out about all this different stuff. So I don't want to get too deep into like Shanks, because a lot of film red spoilers are all over the place now. So that could make things difficult. But I think for Marco, it may be like
I'm tempted to go look it up.
He's tired of it, right? He may be just like, all right, I just want to continue my captain's legacy, maybe my dad's legacy for the most part, I guess back to the Kinemon and Otsuru thing, this is something we talked about a lot while Wano was going on. Like, does Kinemon care about Otsuru? Is she alive? Are we going to see her again? And I really love this moment because even 20 years later, right, she's still like, I want to be by his side. I'm moving to the capital. And Kinemon is still madly in love with his wife, which again, he jumped into the future. She aged 20 years and she's still to him as beautiful as ever. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think that was great for Oda to throw in there. And then do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I was just going to say, like, these two characters are kind of like in terms of like the epitome of like loyalty and resolve, like the things that they went through to like make it back here and meet up together the way they did is like super admirable. Like, she, like you said, 20 years alone, but it wasn't just that, it was in a Kaido world, and that's terrifying. And we got a glimpse of what she was dealing with, with the red bean soup scenes and Tama and all that. She was not, not doing the best, all things considered. I think, and then Kinemon again, like he had to leave her. And like, it was a moment choice because they were burning down in the castle, but he did. And then he comes back and he sees that she's still saying like, yeah, I'm your ride or die, that it definitely, struck a chord for sure.
Yeah, they have a great relationship. It was good seeing them again. You know, I often tend to skip over the sentimentality of some of the relationships in the story, though. But you know, what Otsuru, I think what was interesting is in terms of how in this chapter we get a woman with a burn scar, so a woman that is marked by flames, you could say, right?
Yes.
And it's just ironic that, and it's ironic at the very end we get. We need to find a person marked by flames, and even though it's not Otsuru, it's just interesting to me. You know, we can get to that later, but just as a connection point, you could say, you know, her burn is over her eye, and we know that Sabo has a burn over his eye. He's been marked by fire. We know that Shanks has a scar. We don't know how he got it. You know, was it a flaming scar? You know, we don't know. You know, is there anybody else? You know, Dragon has a tattoo over his eye. Is it a scar? Is it a tattoo? Who knows about that?
Yeah, it's like Oda leaving us hints throughout the chapters. I love the way Oda does that too. Like his last chapter, there was the Green Bull turning back into like mini Groot with like the sapling thing, and then at the end of the chapter, Shanks is like, "Oh, they're just saplings." So then I was like, "Ooh, that's a really nice loop around." So like,
he's tying things.
Yeah, it's like not a related thing, but it feels nice as a reader to like have that.
It feels like
everything.
It's like great continuity. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like.
Yeah. And speaking on that point, just to touch on that, you know, I think Brago had mentioned about Sukiyaki, right? He hinted at that. We haven't gotten to that yet. About the new era, and that ties into Marco not being here and disappearing. You know, we see Luffy, Law, and Kid kind of taking off. I did have a video on something about what might happen ultimately. I was saying that Law did say that their alliance would end after defeating Kaido. He said that on Punk Hazard, and that's what happened this chapter. But there's something to question as to whether or not they will end up allied again toward the end of the story to take on the world government, because they all seem to have a beef with Celestial Dragons and the world government in their own way, as I pointed out. But also the fact that it would be the first time, aside from, well, we have Big Mom and Kaido, 2 emperors joining, but imagine if, you know, right now we have the current emperors. Do you guys think that there will ever be another update to the emperor category? Do you think that Kid will eventually get the title that he wants? Right.
Wait, hold on, right now. I think we jumping forward a bit too much. Yeah. Let's talk about the carrot thing first.
I got you.
Right.
Yeah.
I've expressed myself on how I feel about Carrot being the next ruler of the Makoma Dukedom. It feels random to me. And it feels like Oda just wants something to do with her because she is not going to be a Straw Hat. People did present the idea of her sneaking onto the ship because of this responsibility and going with them. I think that would be bad. If you include Carrot and Yamato, right? That would be just completely. It would be too much.
You can just sneak on. Like by this point, Carrot needs to have earned it, right? And
but let me ask, how do you guys feel about them saying she has what it takes to lead the next generation? Because for me, it feels a bit premature. Where
if you don't have what it takes to be on the, if you don't have what it takes to be on the Straw Hats, how do you have what it takes to lead the next generation?
My thing is like I understand like what they're doing with the new era, next generation. Like because people are saying if Momonosuke can be the next one, why can't Carrot? And it was like, well, Momonosuke, this is his birthright, right?
And he earned it too.
And he earned it. I feel like. Yeah. Carrot somewhat. I know she's the one that's explored outside of the world. She's genuinely a good person, but it does feel like it feels a bit forced to me, right? And like I said, I told people that I'm open to every possible argument to justify Carrot being the next ruler and the person that's meant to lead. Of course, the potential is crazy for Carrot, but again, it feels really premature, and it feels like it's just something for Carrot to do. And she's a super popular character, so we can't just throw her, to the wayside. How do you guys feel about it?
In terms of Pedro's inherited will, I'm also wondering, Pedro is a very important character to the story. That was a very emotional, impactful moment, in my opinion. I know some people didn't really care.
Really?
They weren't attached to Pedro. When he blew himself up, I was like, You
cared about the Willow P?
Yo, when people said Kara's pushing P, I died.
I thought...
Listen, okay, even her connection to Pedro, listen, I don't know, but Pedro did not move me that much, right? Because... I understand the only thing that seems like relevant to like the Dawn is basically him meeting Roger and saying, yo, what can I do, man? Like I give me something to do, bro. He's like, yo, wait your turn. So like he's just been waiting for a reason or a way to prove himself.
So the way I see this,
Brago's saying that he's been waiting to blow up.
He has.
I mean, low key,
that's what he wanted.
like, I made a joke earlier. I forget where, but it was like it's a little out of pocket because like Roger looking down on heaven was like that's not what I meant, Pedro. Like
that's not what I wanted you to do. Remember, like Pedro tried to blow himself up a couple times with Whole Cake. They're like, no, not yet. He's like he's walking around with these explosives.
There are arguments you can make to like Pedro having like survivor's guilt, right? What's the guy?
Because Zeppo died, right?
Because Zeppo died, and then he gave his eye and he ran away and whatever. But I can see your point about the impactfulness of it, how well it was written.
So the connection to Pedro doesn't move me. Like, oh, you were carrying on Pedro's will. I'm like, okay. Even when Luffy said it, right? Remember when Luffy said it?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, and for Pedro. It's like,
although Sanji's reaction, Sanji's reaction
is more impactful than any of them.
That was great
because
Sanji feels
like it's his fault. Right?
Yeah.
But
because the arc.
Even Sanji, it's not even your fault because Pedro was gonna die.
But that's the thing. Like
Sanji
should have. In terms of what's his name, Perospero. There could have been an emotional moment there where Sai just bodies this guy.
Peros did nothing wrong, man.
He did his job. He knew the assignment. But
what I would say about Carrot though, like I want to clarify like what I will say here because like people are gonna think like, oh, you're just a Carrot fan, but like I was never on board with Carrot joining the Straw Hats. I didn't care.
I wasn't either.
I didn't care either way. I was like, if Oda does it, it's fine. I just don't see it as much as like what people are saying. But like when I ran through these pages, I reacted very much the same way that Oda laid it out. Like she was just like her being ruler. I was like, wait, what ruler? And then
they're like, huh? She's like, because she just said, yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then when they said like,
wait, what?
You definitely got what it takes to lead the next generation. And then I was like, wait, but there's so many other like stronger people, better people. And then she says that, and I'm like, and then they show him. I'm like, all right, they're just gonna bend the knee. And then I was like, what about Wanda? Yeah. Wanda's like, I'll be your right hand.
Right. Wanda's like, I'll be by your side too, Carrot. They chose wisely.
And when he hit the Pedro note, I was like, oh, okay, all right. and so like, and then I let it sit for a bit because getting this out front, right, in terms of qualifications to be like the Duke of like the Minks, and like because I equate them to being strong. They were like military leaders, generals.
They were formidable. They can protect. Like if anybody tries to invade, they can protect whatever it is, like they did with Jack.
And
right?
with the Jack situation,
these are people you depend on.
With the Jack situation, they got poisoned. It's whatever. Like it's not the same thing. Versus Carrot in Sulong with Wanda got beat by Sparrow. So that's a little different, right? And
granted, they ran out of moon, I guess, right?
Yeah. So we'll give them that. But like, so with the whole, I let it sit, and I was like, you know what, this, you mentioned the whole like their Neko and Inu are of the old generation, and in terms of the Pedro thing, his will essentially is bringing the dawn, right? And when you think about how he went about pursuing it, he started a pirate crew and he pursued it. He did pursue the dawn in any way, and when he ultimately made the sacrifice, that was to further Luffy's to make, because he believed that they were the ones who were going to bring the dawn, right? And when you think about that thing about leaving the Mink Kingdom to pursue something, we have to remember that Neko and Inu did that same thing, and we don't know what the predecessor to them did either. But Neko and Inu, we don't know what drove them, but they ended up on Wano, and they had their own. I might be wrong here, but I think they might have like been sailing to some extent.
I think they ran away from Zoe, right? And they ended up they were being chased, I believe, right? Weren't they being chased by someone, and Odin saved them from?
On Wano, they were held as like monsters. The Kawamatsu and them were held as monsters. We don't know prior. We know Kawamatsu's situation, but we don't know Neko and Inu's situation to that extent. Like, why were they leaving? What were they pursuing? But that might be because, like, staying on the Minx Kingdom.
I think they were inquisitive about the outside world.
They read the poneglyph, and it said that the history of
and they talked about Wano as well,
right? And so
like they wanted to sail.
They were curious. So I guess it's starting to make more sense why they're fond of Carrot because Carrot is just like
yeah,
them,
exactly,
right?
exactly. And the other part,
and that's the kind of spirit that you want to have, because you want to be open to outsiders. You want to be open, just like Momonosuke, more open to outsiders, and so that will allow them to fill this new era. That's
and the other half of it is also that under Neko and Inu's rule, it was essentially like a civil war type of thing. Not a civil war, but like it was divided, right? But now that we know that Zunisha is integral to opening up Wano, which we know is integral to Luffy's storyline, because if he's Joy Boy, then Oden was trying to open up Wano for Joy Boy. That means wherever Zunisha goes, the Minks are gonna go, and wherever the Minks go, they have to be ready, they have to be strong, and that's where the knock comes on. Carrot isn't the best one to train them, but like if there's someone who has the will to pursue the dawn, it's her out of all the newer generations. And so and you know, the show's about willpower, so whoever's going to lead them is going to have to be the one who's tied to Joy Boy, tied to Luffy. So that might be at the end of the day the final qualifications here.
I think in regards to One Piece justifications, it makes sense.
Yeah.
In regards to what it takes to be a leader of a country,
valid. I agree with you.
Carrot is not it. But I understand, like, when we make those connections about them, her being curious like the Dukes, being just like them, her connection to Pedro, the coming of the Dawn. Maybe this is something that was written. Like maybe somebody like her that was supposed to be the leader.
Yeah, and right? This also kind of fits, like, you know, I think Kaguya is like the white rabbit thing, and she's the white rabbit, and Zunisha's tied to, like, you know, the moon stuff. So this might be, like you're saying, like a prophesized. You know, honestly, if you theory crafted it like that, then this might have been like a more logical route. That being said, I said all of that, but then I still go back to this thing and says, is like, you have grown very dependable after your adventures with Luffy and the others. I'm like, how? What did you see that made you convinced that way? Like, I didn't see that. So, you know, but narratively, right? Like, I can see how it makes sense.
Yeah.
I just wanted to just very quickly, Brago. So I just briefly stumbled on the spoilers. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Those that's crazy.
Yeah. I'm low key one of my guys in the mud, but.
Just clarifying for the viewers, I'm not spoilers, so.
Par doesn't know anything that we're talking about.
Yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
It's hella exciting, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To hear you guys talk about it, because, you know.
It's just nutty. Wow. It's nutty. Wow. But yeah, the Carrot thing.
The agenda is strong.
Yeah, I'm hit up cold soon. But,
you're giving hints now. Yo, that's funny.
But no, the Carrot thing, I think after talking about it, I could see why it would make sense. Just because nobody has really gotten as much focus like Carrot from the Minks other than the Dukes and Wanda and maybe Sicilian, you know. Everybody else is just like randoms, right? So it's like, if we're gonna make someone the leader, it has to be someone that can carry on the will of P, and you know, have a connection to Momonosuke and Luffy, so that once they meet again, because they will meet again, it's somebody that's more familiar, right? Because it's not gonna hit the same once Wanda meets Luffy and Momonosuke and be like, oh, it's Wanda, Momonosuke, and Luffy. They're like, no, it's like, it has to be Carrot.
I think the other part of it is like not being afraid of interacting with the outside world, right? Like leaving your bubble is one thing that throughout One Piece is you know, a sign of great willpower, because you have so much comfort where you are. So if you leave, that is a sign of something.
You're curious.
So how do you guys think they're all going to meet again for the final battle?
Oh, at the final war. Momonosuke is going to pull up on Zo.
Bro,
no. So do you think that Momonosuke is going to pull up on Pluton? And then
no, I think Wano is going to get.
We got to see Pluton first. All I know is Zunisha's the best Uber ride ever.
Wano's going to get raided.
Somebody's going to steal Pluton while Kaido's defeated. Maybe Blackbeard, because Blackbeard is apparently in the Road to Laugh Tale volumes, it says, like, you know, this guy's a schemer. He's kind of just like sitting there. He's not weak, but like, he sits in the background, lets others do the dirty work. Then he shows up when you take him down. He shows up, right? Because you weaken Whitebeard, and then, you know, he comes in, finishes the job. You take out Kaido and Big Mom. Blackbeard shows up to Wano, gets the Pluton, nobody in his way. And then and the columns are not a problem for Blackbeard, like,
and
he can destroy them.
The way I see it is like Momo snaps his finger, and Zunisha takes 2 steps, and he's there. Like, wherever it is, he's there. Like,
yeah. And then Momonosuke is going to show up on the back of Zunisha with Carrot. for the final war. So I think that's how they reunite again. I've always thought Zunisha was at its wit's end and that all the minks would eventually move to Wano and live in Wano. But it seems like Oda's saving or keeping the Zunisha and Joy Boy stuff close to the vest until the final war. Then he's going to reveal more about it and all the 1,000-year stuff, because I thought we were going to get that in the info dump at the end of Wano, but things seem to have been expedited, right? It's like, all right, we just got to get out of here and get on to the next island.
I just realized
we never really got an explanation. We never really got an explanation as to why Momonosuke can communicate with Zunisha.
No.
And, that's what I'm really
excited
wondering
for that
about.
too.
Like, should it not be similar to Shirahoshi? Should it not be similar to, his relationship with Pluton? Or is Momonosuke actually Uranus? And we'll find it out later.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's planned for
you asked the question, how are they gonna roll up, and I was just like, wow, wait, what if Momo goes dragon form, flame clouds, and carries people over like skyboats? That would be kind of cool.
Oh wow, yeah, carrying like what Kaido does. He's in his, imagine Momonosuke in his hybrid form, lifting up the island or whatever, taking it.
I mean, Momo does have to relocate Oni. It's not gonna just sit outside the capital, right? Like, yo, what if he rolled up with Onigashima to the final war? That'd be crazy.
What if he practices? What if he practices on it? That's true.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I really can't wait to see happen. But speaking of Momonosuke, we get to Sukiyaki, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I know some people were upset that Sukiyaki did reveal himself to Momonosuke and Hiyori, but I thought this was the only possible way things would go. Like, there's no way I thought he was gonna just be like anonymous or just in hiding.
This was the right way. This was the way that it should have gone from the start. It's just weird that he came out and said, I'm not going to do this, and then we get no dialogue, and then he does do it, and it's like, right.
It is weird. It is weird, but I feel like this is I never thought he was just going to stay hidden forever. I even think the people are going to find out about him.
Yeah, I think at times that it's often I have a comment response to Brago on that. Hopefully I remember it. But I think at times Oda relies on us to read between the lines, and when it comes to samurai like Kozuki Sukiyaki, it's about remembering your honor, right? And so, even though you've sacrificed your honor for so long, have enough courage to show your face at least, right? Don't be whatever word you want to use for it. I've already sworn on this podcast, so don't be a pussy or whatever. You know, so that's basically what they're encouraging him to do. But in response to what Brago said, people recognizing him, we have seen, gags before where, Soge King, right? Oh, they don't know who I am, but they did know who you were. They just played along with it. Yeah. And so maybe the people will figure it out. But another thing I was going to ask is, I couldn't really tell when I was reading this chapter, but it seemed as if some of the scabbards were hinting like, they were respecting his desire to not be known, but they always wondered. Yeah, they always wondered.
It feels
Kinemon,
Kinemon's
seems
the only one that did not have any conceivable idea.
Just like
but
with
that's
the strategy
like typically how it
just,
was with the scabbards, right? Where Kinemon is the one that's like, he's kind of adult. And he kind of is like, and I like that Oda's continuing this.
Kinemon,
like even when Denjiro had that whole idea, and then they're like, Kinemon, you're a genius. He's like, huh?
Yeah, and then we get the same face here. Kinemon's durability is god tier, but his observation hockey is in the dirt. Like,
and it's so like apt that we got Porto Kage as well in this chapter. You know
true.
You know what I mean? So this was like, again, like one of those chapters where it's like so many different connections you can make. But no, I think Sukiyaki, he's going to get found out. It's like what I said was he was such a great leader. Like Wano was thriving under his rule, right? Because he was such a good person. I don't think the people just forget that. And even if he wants to stay hidden, someone is going to find out. And even if they try to play coy, like the scabbards were, they're going to know this was their former king. And I think he should be cherished as such, right? Because again, like after him, like things kind of went to shit. But it's like there's also an interesting part as well with this, right? Because remember, the old hag was cosplaying as him for a bit.
Yeah.
So then that could be another thing where do the people remember Wano and say, like, for Sukiyaki, like he's the person that kind of brought things to ruin, or do they remember just the good times about it? So I don't know how far Oda's going to go into that as far as the people and how he contributes, or he just lets him live in anonymity. But I do think he gets revealed, and he's the perfect person to help Momonosuke in regards to being a shogun, because he walked that path before. So that was really cool. I guess the next part we can talk about is Pluton.
Right? I just did a little hot take on the Sukiyaki thing because I realized this recently, but like now that we know from last chapter that the sea is essentially like fresh water, rainwater, doesn't that kind of like low key, one of the knocks on Wano is that all their water sources is poisoned, but like the sea is all clean, and like technically, like maybe no one researched that, but Sukiyaki knew this whole time. So like, isn't that?
But Sukiyaki did say in that one chapter that he did feel ashamed that there were things that he could have tried to have done, but he was just he like hid himself away or whatever.
I think he felt like, because here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Say Sukiyaki goes and lets the people know, like, hey, this is what's going on, this is what it is. He probably does get revealed. And they probably find out who he is. And at that point, he probably gets killed. Probably gets executed.
Yeah. So it's not a knock. It's not a
so
knock.
I think
on,
it's just.
I'd say it's a knock on Sukiyaki. Like, he felt dishonor because he's not Odin at all. Clearly, Odin would have never done that. He, basically.
Well, Odin was.
He could see.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, people were fishing and they were like freshwater fish, and that's how people figured out. But the other part that is like the knock on Sukiyaki essentially is Tama was out there drinking poisonous water, and if he knew that the seas were clean, he could just been like, "Hey, yo, like, don't drink the river water, go to the ocean."
But again, it's like you ever tell a kid something?
Yeah.
And everybody's gonna know about
That's
it.
True. That's
it's
true.
like, oh, who told you? Oh, old man, what's his face? Old man Hitetsu.
But the other thing, Par, is like, how do they actually get into the underwater chamber? Right, because it's sealed off.
That's in the castle, right?
Is it sealed? I was thinking more that the whole ocean.
I thought there was glass.
Because like when we saw the picture, the real Wano.
Oh, going up the waterfall and stuff.
Yeah, all of that is rainwater. All of that's fresh water, according to not just Sukiyaki, but Sanji and Nami
maybe definitely the waterfall for sure, because it's
maybe
like
the Beast Pirates wouldn't let you do that. I don't
know.
I think it's just like if you say anything, it's going to be revealed.
Yeah,
it's going to reveal too much about who you possibly could be.
And the other part was that one of the details that he gave us in the underwater Wano section was there were all koi fish swimming there. So, that was the exact same logic that Sanji was like, oh, this is freshwater because there's koi fish here. And like, so we know they fish in their seas. It's not like they don't. And so it was just like a minute thing where I was just like, the more I think about this, the worse it gets for Sukiyaki. And it goes back to your point where it's like, if he reveals himself low key, they would probably be like, yo, you could have told us, like.
yeah. So I mean, they handled it in a great way. I loved him talking about Momonosuke looking like Odin, and like when I saw this panel, for whatever reason, I thought about Lion King, right? And I thought about like just Odin and Momonosuke and how like Mufasa and Simba, as far as like how they looked, where it's like they were similar, but they were like distinct differences, so they weren't like exact replicas. But that's kind of something I thought of. But I really love this moment with Sukiyaki reveal himself. Then he just starts to. He's like, all right, since they cool with me now, let me just tell them about some more shit. Like, let me show how valuable I am. All right, so guys, Pluton, Pluton is here, man. Luffy's like, I don't care about it. I don't want it. It is what it is, and it's kind of casual about it. What do you guys think about this whole part?
I just think it's. I was like, Frankie's interaction with Pluton was the most important part to me because he had the blueprints of a counter weapon or
the
Pluton, whatever it is. And so his interactions here were just kind of interesting to me. It's like Pluton's in this country, so it exists. And it's like between Robin and Frankie, I feel like we should have enough clues to understand what Pluton is, right? Like Frankie and Robin talk one time about it. I feel like they would figure it out, right?
I feel like
imagine a weapon so dangerous you had to seal it away, like basically in a mountain, right? Like it's basically in a mountain, and not just in a mountain, but underwater in a mountain.
Well, that's the important thing, right? Where it's like a weapon is propaganda. We learn in Arabasta with like, I always reference, this is when Pluton was dropped to us. I think it's like chapter 196 or something like that, or 198. And in the next page from when Crocodile says Pluton, we have Miss Doubtfire fighting with Nami, and she was low-key
Miss Doubtfire.
Yeah, and she was like ragging on.
Is it Miss Doublefinger?
Doublefinger. Okay, oh yeah, that one. That's the one.
Miss Doubtfire, the movie with Robin Williams.
All right, at least you got who I was talking about, though.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Nah,
but she was. Good thing you corrected me because I wrote that in my script and now I'm gonna edit it out. So
yeah, don't say that.
But
or maybe you should leave it in.
She was making fun of Nami's like weapon, the climb attack, and what she said was essentially that anything that can kill somebody is a weapon, right? And so in that same logic line, we look at Shirahoshi. She's not a weapon, but she can kill somebody. And the way I think about Pluton and all the ancient weapons is that there were things that, you know, they could be completely normal things. There's a lot of good things in our world that were used for evil. And I think that's what we gotta, like with Pluton, it might not be that the main thing is for destruction. It's just that it can be used for destruction.
I think like with you talking about this now, I'm thinking about it. And I think back in the day, it's possible that the ancient weapons were just like basically used as deterrents and probably used to maintain the balance in the world.
Yeah,
right? Where it's
they built up a reputation during probably the Void Century.
Yeah,
Now,
they did like because they're being used in a way to be weapons. Like you said, anything can be a weapon. And the thing is, one thing about the One Piece world that I think we have to talk about a bit more is just how delicate this balance is, right? And how the slight thing could throw things off. Just think of Shanks and his journey so far and how much he does or goes out of his way to maintain the balance. And that's what we know about, right? There could be other things that Shanks has been doing to maintain this balance, where it's just like, bro, there's only so much I can do because the Ace thing, like Blackbeard, Whitebeard, right? You have Marco. It's like you have so many things hanging in the balance that like anything could tip the scales. And the world government, they're constantly trying to balance the world by themselves for the most part. And the Yonko, like trying to stop the Yonko from meeting, creating the warlords, now the SSG. It's like this was almost inevitable.
Yeah.
With like things just going awry. And then we're going to talk about Buggy and what he's doing now, right? Where it's like the world is like, Whitebeard talked about the world like being turned upside down. Marines are being hunted like if they're pirates, bro. Like this is like literally the world is flipped. Like everything is being flipped on its head at this point.
And what I love about that is the two people carrying that art is Shanks and Buggy, in my opinion. And that was Roger. Roger was like, I want to flip the world upside down. I want to turn it on its head. Yeah. And Buggy is doing that in this chapter. And Shanks is probably going to do that in the future. And just, you know, shameless plug, but you're talking about the balance that Shanks is putting up. Braga, you gotta check out the Godfather Shanks theory after this. And
I'll check it out. Probably do a reaction to this Godfather Shanks theory.
Yeah.
We'll see if it's hitting on what they say it's hitting. How long is it?
It's a long one. It's
30 minutes long. 30 minutes long. It's one of the best Shanks videos I've ever seen. It blew my mind. It's interesting that when Parvision made the video on it, then the chapter drops, and then we see that panel of the new era where he's very mad, but we see all the children. Right? We see Hiyori, we see Kid Momonosuke, we see Kid Luffy, and then we see a shadow of Yuta.
Yeah, and Braga, you don't know what he's referencing to there with that, but like I had this thing planned like a year ago, and I just like happened to get time to make it now.
So this is the best Shanks theory I'll ever watch, I guess.
Ever. And I think that, and I think it'd be even dope, even though I don't know if it was referenced in the video part, but you know, imagine if Shanks was, you know, indirectly made Luffy's godfather, because we haven't really heard of godfathers in the series, right? Somebody appoints you as a guardian. Shanks is a guardian. Wherever Luffy goes, Shanks is showing up. He showed up to Marineford. I cannot let him die. He showed up to Wano. To his surprise.
Wait, you said 30 minutes. This video is 55 minutes long.
It's 55 minutes long.
But he's more meaning it flies by quickly. That's what Ragnar is saying.
Oh yeah, that is exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. Godfather Shanks theory.
Yeah, enough plug on that, but you know, it just everything that you're saying was relevant to that the concept.
No, that's dope. Yeah. That's dope. All right, we put that on the list for sure. But no, I guess I don't know. we can move on with the chapter. We had the Shinobu stuff where she's now skinny and sexy and hot again. We have Tama, who's training to be a Kunoichi, right, which I think is pretty cool. Toko was with Hiyori as well.
Going back on the Pluton thing, really quickly. Like, to me, this line struck, like, the moment I read it, I stopped in the live reaction. I was like, oh my God. Did it hit you differently when she said, did you say that mature ladies are alluring ancient weapons? Because, like, Shirahoshi is a princess who's an ancient weapon. Some people think Vivi's Uranus, so, like, she might be the other princess who's a thing. We don't know what Pluton's context is, but I want to remain on the side that it is a ship. It's not like a person type of thing.
A person.
It could be sentient, but, like, did that line hit you guys in a different way?
So speaking,
I didn't make that connection at all.
Yeah, but speaking of Vivi, because I have seen Oda throughout the story indirectly mention weapons like that part, like you were mentioning. But speaking of Vivi, it's interesting that she has a bird as a companion, and a lot of people do wonder if the final ancient weapon will be, God of the Sky. If it's not, the dragon devil fruits from Kaido Momonosuke, then would it be like a bird, right? And people say, okay, does Shanks have Griffin, the egg on the ship, right? Or not Griffin, so does Shanks have the bird? I mean, does Shanks have Uranus? Shanks' sword is Griffin, a ancient bird or whatever. Is it all hinting at maybe, that egg hatching into Uranus? It's interesting that Vivi has a bird that she can kind of talk to, right?
It's also a team of birds, right? It's not just there's more bird ducks. Yeah,
but is it hinting that maybe Vivi can, have a relationship with other birds? She had a relationship with Pell, right? An ancient bird. She has a relationship with this bird, dog, whatever, pet, whatever you want to call it. And so maybe she'll have an ultimate relationship with an ancient weapon that is a bird in the end. That's what I've been wondering lately. I don't really care too much about making videos on the final weapon Uranus, because there's just no way to know what it's going to be for sure.
Too hard to tell.
Just like, videos on Pluton. Is it going to be Zunisha? Was Zunisha a ship that ate a devil fruit? All that stuff that we were all discussing in the past, and now we find out that Pluton is actually under Wano. So I don't think there's really any point in trying to figure out this. I mean, if it's fun to speculate, but nothing really concrete.
I got a solid idea on Pluton now. Now that we're past the Zunisha part, I think I got a good idea. It's gonna be a fun one.
All right, got that to look forward to. Okay, so Shinobu. Any thoughts on Shinobu, Tama?
So I wanted to say that Otama. I was wondering if you guys think, because the foreshadowing. So the Kunoichi part has come true.
Yes.
I think she had also said to Nami, that she wanted to become a beautiful Kunoichi, right? So
a bewitching,
like Nami. Well, now bewitching Shinobu, and now she's kind of, we see Shinobu's all skinny again, and it's a bewitching, right, Kunoichi. Or ninja, whatever. And do you think that Shinobu will, if they all show up for the final war, do you think that Otama would go through the same process as Momonosuke and ask Shinobu to make her grown, or does it really serve any benefit for her storyline? I don't know.
I hope not. I hope she doesn't do that. I don't think it's necessary for her. I think the only thing I was thinking of in this moment when I see Nami, Tama, and Luffy, I was like, does this come true, right? Does this moment happen where Luffy says, sure, if you keep on your ninjutsu training, right? It was like, do we have a flashback of this moment where Tama is now on the Straw Hat ship? Where that's what I was thinking, just based on how the panel is drawn. I can see it being like, it already looks like a flashback. It just gave me that vibe of Tama proving herself to Luffy, just like Luffy has a flashback with Shanks. Where it's like, is this going to be Tama's flashback? Not saying that we get two pieces and Tama is the main character.
Tama and Buffy.
Tama and Buffy. Yeah. But it just really made me, it gave me those feels of like Shanks and Luffy back.
To me, when I read this, I kind of looked at it like, she's not going to join his crew in any of our lifetimes. If there's a Buffy, sure, maybe. But the way I saw it was more like, anytime we've seen this situation where, like not that they got denied, it was like, stalled out. It's more so that person, that child, ends up becoming a pirate or an adventurer on their own. Luffy and Shanks, that was the situation. You wait 10 years, we'll see what happens. Luffy ends up becoming a pirate on his own. own. Even Pedro got denied by Roger, and Pedro started his own pirate crew. And I feel like if you look at a few more examples, that probably lines up where, like, if you get denied here, it's just, you know, motivation for them to just go out on their own.
Wait.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, I'm like, they just went out. I'm like, I'm like, what happened? I'm like, oh no. Okay. No. I guess I could agree with that. But like, I want to talk about like this guy, right?
Yeah.
And it's a slight issue because they were able to sense. Okay, we know these Straw Hats, at least 3 Straw Hats, have fantastic observation hockey, or maybe at least 2 have fantastic observation.
No slander.
Right?
Yeah.
How? As much as I love it, how is Caribou able to just be there, slimy, dripping, all this different stuff, and right behind a Yonko with future sight?
I was gonna make a film red joke. But
yeah, you can't.
Why not do that?
Okay, maybe I'm reading too much into it. It is what it is. Observation hockey, it works when it works, right?
So with this situation, I like, because I had a TikTok. This is where TikTok's really nice, because I make like short content sometimes, and so the parallel between the way we learned about Poseidon and Pluton was like paralleled from King Neptune being the the king of the nation, and then Sukiyaki being the shogun at a previous time, and then the way they told us the information through Robin, where Robin was essentially like, shut up, old man, just tell me about the ancient weapon. And then we see Caribou was listening in on the conversation there, and then that would happen here. And what was interesting throughout, I made a video on Caribou that a lot of people are like, why are you talking about Caribou? He's not gonna be important, but like, he's important. And the thing about it was the straw, Luffy specifically equates Caribou's presence as a wild animal. So every time, like on Fishman Island, they were like, do you guys sense a wild beast? And I think prior on Sabo Odi, when he was like stowed away, they were like, it feels like there's a beast somewhere. And so they might equate his presence like an animal, and it isn't until like he does something that they're actually like perturbed, and then they act on it. And so
you're talking about his intent, so his malice.
Yeah. So why do you think they? That's kind of an interesting phrase of words. I don't know if it depends on the translation.
Does it mean Caribou's like been playing coy this entire time, and he's actually a lot more impressive than we think?
A wild animal conveys what exactly?
Okay, so I mean, I'm not going to go too far in the theory, but essentially what I was saying was that at the time, I made this video after 1044 when we learned about mythical Zoans, and Caribou was equated as a beast multiple times, or not multiple, at least one time. I don't remember, this is in the video. But the other part was that he actually spoke about his devil fruit in chapter 1021. At the end of it, he refers to his fruit as someone with an empty stomach, with an endless stomach, like an infinite stomach, essentially. Like it was super hungry, essentially. And so it personified his fruit. And so his devil fruit. And so when you think about his Logia power, it's a swamp fruit, and it's so weird because what Logia has infinite storage. Also, swamp isn't really an element. It's a really weird thing. So I was like, what if he's like a mythical Zoan and Luffy's sensing the will of his fruit? And so and then on top of that, like I was talking about him because he, at the time especially, Oda's making this character to be super important. So as looking at what lines he has throughout the story, is like, why else would Oda keep this character if it's not for his power, or if it's not for the contribution of his dialogue? And so looking from the dialogue standpoint, we're seeing he's talked about as a beast, or he's talking about his devil fruit as a person or a thing, which is like Zoan like. And then when we look at like from a narrative perspective, he's going after the ancient weapon. So 100% he's going to be relevant, and we're seeing this here. And I want to ask you guys more so, like, who do you guys think that certain someone is that he wants this?
So I thought it would be probably be Blackbeard's 10th. I even looked this comment.
Blackbeard's 10th Titanic captain.
Yeah, 10th Titanic captain, and that he's secretly out here, reporting to him. Or it could be Shiki the Golden Lion. Those are the only two people I can think of.
I love the Shiki one because in a lot of ways, Oda has used the past couple chapters to establish Uta as a canon character, right? So if you reintroduce a movie character as canon in this way, it's another connection that he's been doing this entire chapter.
And understand, Brago, that the Shiki said, Roger, I know that you found an ancient
chapter
weapon,
0,
right? I want it. And so that person, Shiki maybe, would be interested in the ancient weapons, 20 years from now, right? After Roger died, I'll live up my dream. And now you have this guy going around. We still have no answer as to that. We have no answer still as to what flew over, Capone's ship and sucked them up into the sky. We don't know what Shiki's awakening can do. I would presume that maybe without even touching anything, he can use,
telekinesis,
right? When he awakens, and
so he can definitely just pull he can definitely get Pluton.
Yeah, pull it.
Bottom of Wano.
Pull things within the vicinity up.
Listen, if Blackbeard, and here's the thing with Shiki, that some people do remember about him, but something about him is that he loved allying, right? He loved working with people because it was not necessarily about control for him. He just wanted to wreak havoc, right? So him allying or working with Blackbeard, right? That would be such an overwhelming force for the Straw Hats, which I think it would make a lot of sense because the Straw Hats, we kind of feel like they're overpowered right now, right?
And also, Brago,
sort of.
like imagine a canon Shiki that is not a movie character that's defeated.
So he's actually his necessary strength, right?
Yeah.
So then, wait. So another thing though, if Shiki is his necessary strength that we think he should be, that somewhat moves Shiryu down to third commander, or right. So then, Shiryu with that fruit would then fight Sanji.
I don't think that given their character, their natures, right? I don't know if Shiki would join under Blackbeard. I would like if they were like.
I mean, I think for Shiki it's not really about that because he was willing to join under Rocks, right? He wanted to join Roger and he wanted to join Whitebeard.
He wanted to ally with Roger more so than be under.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. But
here's the thing. Here's another connection that I'm making. Remember Crocodile and Doflamingo?
Yeah.
Where it was like, yeah, you say an ally, but you really want me to join under you. No thanks.
Right.
We find out in this chapter, Crocodile is, from perception of the world, under Buggy. Even though to them, it's probably an ally. It's probably an alliance.
This goes back to one of your videos titled, Perception versus Reality.
Yeah.
Right? And so, what is the actual reality of their relationship? It's a menacing image, no doubt. But when we actually go to the actual present where they're at,
Buggy's scared of Crocodile and
intimidated by Mihawk.
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
for sure.
Who's really calling the shots?
For sure. But the thing is, that's what the world is gonna see. Shiki is a 10th Titanic captain when he's really working alongside Blackbeard. If this is Shiki,
because you watch the Strong World movie, you know that Shiki doesn't really have much respect for these people that are trying to replace Roger. He thinks none of them are worthy. But what about the guy that's carrying on the will of Zebek? That's true. That's the other thing that could probably command his respect. But
yes.
Wait, Brago.
Can
we talk about the cross guild stuff and then we'll go back to like the Momo and Straw Hats towards the end because it fits better talking about those things in solid progression. We can talk about Buggy stuff now.
Okay, let's get to cross guild.
I just something that I realized with Buggy's crew, and this I don't think I heard this yet, was I don't know if you guys remember this. When Buggy was assumed dead by his crew, the precedent that they had was that they fought for who was captain. And so we had Moji and Kabaji fighting for captainhood, and then Richie, the lion, no-diffed them, and then Buggy came back, and they were like, fine. And so I was thinking about that in this context, and I was like, yo, what if that happened here? They're fighting for who would be the leader here. And so obviously I think Mihawk beats Crocodile, but Mihawk versus Buggy, maybe like it's just kind of...
It's a weird cancel out type thing. But here's the thing, though. Like, is it the same? Right? Does it feel the same if Mihawk gains Buggy and Crocodile under him to the world?
If
I don't. Is it the same impact?
If Mihawk is the leader and Buggy and Crocodile, no, I don't think so, because
it doesn't. Yeah, because Buggy had already had this acclaim. It was building a bit, and Mihawk, I think, just based off of perception of him, he was a loner. So I think it was more impressive based on what Buggy was to the eyes of the world, subjugate Mihawk and Crocodile.
Yeah. It's also interesting, Brago, because it ties into what Greenbow was saying when he was walking, right? And Greenbow was muttering to himself about
influence,
the power to influence others. And now we see Dracula Mihawk, the man that originally said that to Luffy, the power to influence others, the strongest power on these seas. And ironically, he's now been influenced, however it happened, by Buggy.
Definitely, I don't think it's right. I doubt it's influenced. I think,
it's a gag on influence.
I guarantee it's some shenanigan. It's some shenanigan that Buggy had. In some way, he managed to convince both Crocodile and Mihawk. And granted, Buggy's crew, and I'm assuming Crocodile still has his guys with him. Mihawk has his baboons. At this point, they can compete against any other Yonko crew.
Okay, and I want to take that to another thing. So Tekking made a meme theory. He called it a meme theory because he said basically this is more fun. But in terms of ranking the Yonko bounties, he was saying that, either Buggy's at the bottom or he's at top, and it would be more fun if Buggy was at the top. And now that we have Buggy with 2 warlords under him, and he was a warlord, so 3 warlord and a Yonko, could that maybe be potential that and then on top of that, he's issuing bounties and flipping.
I would say this. I don't want us to do any bounty predictions because I'm gonna save it for the break.
Okay.
We have that. We're gonna have a discussion, and we're all gonna do bounty predictions for the warlords. Yeah. But this ties into what Oda basically tries to portray with the warlords, that their influence is somewhat equal to the Yonko. That's what Oda tries to sell to us.
Also, Brago. Also, this is bringing that up. The so this one of you might use this in a video. This was going on Twitter. For people that are interested in it, there's a panel. So a Buggy, Crocodile, and Dracula Mihawk all present at Roger's execution. Yeah. The way the swords for the Cross Guild are formed,
is how Roger died.
Resemble Roger dying. But what's interesting is on the left and right of Buggy, Crocodile, and Mihawk are what's his name, Moria, as well as Doflamingo. And now who is trying to recruit Moria? Blackbeard. And then on the right, Doflamingo, where is he? Impel Down. Do we think that the last person that has yet to be recruited, Doflamingo, is going to get broken out somehow of Impel Down? Do we think that Doflamingo will get recruited by, and this has been a theory that's gone on for a while, I guess, by Blackbeard?
The thing is, if Doflamingo does become or join Cross Guild, right, that would basically ally somewhat with what he wants. But my thing is kind of like, why stop there?
Well, for me, I was saying would he join Blackbeard instead, because he's sitting in his prison laughing about causing chaos in the world, and if Blackbeard can give him an opportunity, right, especially if Blackbeard plans to go after the Celestial Dragons, and if he gives
Doflamingo is a possible Titanic captain, you're saying?
Well, I'm saying, would he be willing to? Well, Moria wasn't even listed on there, was he? Was Moria listed on the?
Well, they're saying captains? Blackbeard had all the captains before Moria was even like.
Yeah.
About,
so that's what
right?
I'm saying.
So they said he already had
allied.
That. So that person was already a part of it before Moria.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that Moria, like Doflamingo, would be allied captains if they joined, right? They wouldn't really be his commanders. They'd be allied captains.
Well, I think Doflamingo would pretty much not swear allegiance, but follow or ally with anyone who breaks him out, right? Like, it's kind of like, all right, cool.
I also think Doflamingo is kind of like a balance breaker. I feel like wherever you introduce him to, he's kind of a little...
He tips the scales.
Yeah, and
because not only, remember, influence.
Yeah. Like, and then
he has... you could argue, right? Just in regards to influence, he had... Maybe other than the Yonko, it was him, right?
Yeah, no, I was saying for the longest time before Buggy was announced is that Buggy took over Doflamingo's entire empire, like nearly his entire empire. Yeah. So that
Buggy did what Doflamingo was probably trying to do.
Yeah, and so I had a question. So they call it Cross Guild, right? And we see 3 people, and there's a gap at the bottom, right? Do you think there's a 4th person that we just don't know yet, or
Weevil maybe?
Weevil is too obvious, I think.
It kind of is on the nose. It feels like we're missing something here, right? And here's another question, like
Kuma.
Yeah.
It could just be another pirate. It could just be another pirate that's not a warlord.
I was thinking Doflamingo could fit here because technically, if you think about it, the way Doflamingo's power works, it's also kind of a bad matchup for Buggy, right? Like, because Buggy kind of would just slice his way through everything.
Yeah.
Except for the fire laser beam thing.
But how do they break him out is the question. Would Buggy? I mean, Buggy's broken out before. That's true. But what he wanted, but so has Blackbeard. So would he want to go back there again? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this is just like such a dope concept. When Buggy was revealed to be a Yonko, this was the only way I thought it was possible that he had Mihawk join him. Right? It was like there's no other conceivable way you can convince the Marine or convince like just the world of you being this.
I didn't think
then having something like that.
And Brago, it goes to show because there's always been that debate about what qualifies you to be an emperor, and now we kind of have some confirmation, right, that it's not just about you having territory or influence, it's also about you having either being strong yourself or having strong people on your side.
It's about it's about what a Yonko is, just the word that sums it up more than anything. It's perception.
Yeah. I was gonna say outside of like perception wise, like what you're saying, it's like I didn't even think that Mihawk joining is one thing. Crocodile is another addition.
Crocodile is out of left field. I did not see that one coming.
And to me, the way I was seeing it, right, that perception is so important because I think that if you and I'm not saying I don't like this part. No, these 2 pages were probably one of my favorite things in all of One Piece because Buggy putting bounties on the Marines is probably one of the coolest things I've ever heard of.
Yeah,
it is. I said this. It addresses an issue we've all had with One Piece. Yeah. Bounty hunters. Right, but it's like a twist.
Right,
where it's like it somewhat puts Mihawk back in the position that he was originally in, where he gets to hunt people. Right, he says, "Well, it's been a long time since I've been hunted," but like now it's kind of both, right? Because he's officially a part of this somewhat pirate crew, but now it's like I can go after an admiral because that's kind of what we do.
Yeah,
and I think Oda has to give them a win, low key. He has to give them somebody. Where I believe Stainless went after Buggy. It wouldn't be surprising if they captured Stainless.
Damn, you know these names. Shit.
Right? I mean, come on, Marines, Admirals. But yeah, so Stainless was the only known Marine other than whomever went after Boa Hancock, who, like I mentioned earlier, the elephant in the room. What's going on with Hancock? Right?
Well, the thing is, Brago, I would love for Oda to now introduce, after the debacle of Green Bull that we got, some more Marines, some more.
He kind of did that a little bit with the Black Horse, right? Where it's like there's another faction, that, and I think you have to really kind of start to set these people up, and then we still have not seen SSG. You have not seen SSG.
I would love to see a bunch of but I would love to see a bunch of Marine level characters that are at least on the level of Sanji and Zoro, and I would love to see pirates go after them. Like,
I just want it to be like, when is the final war for us to actually think the Marines have a chance right now?
Exactly, because right now it's just like there's too much against the government.
It's a lot against them, and we don't have enough people that's proven themselves.
And I would hope that SSG has been like humans that are modified.
I think that's
be
what
on the level of.
I think that's. I don't know if on the level of admirals, but definitely above vice admirals, like in the in between, right?
Compared to pirates on the level, like king, like king, and
like on the level of commanders, right? At least there. Yeah. And also something that people have been talking about a little bit. Mihawk has a new scar on his chest, and the reason why this is a big deal is because it's Mihawk, right? And it's like, who had the strength, the power, the balls?
Is that why people are calling him a fraud? I kind of overlooked that.
People are calling him a fraud because he's on the Buggy. That's the reason why people are calling him a fraud, because people compare him to Shanks. I don't know how you get to fraud from this, just because it's clear that it's some tomfoolery going on here. Like, Mihawk is not working on the Buggy because Buggy is stronger. Mihawk is working on the Buggy because this is just convenient right now.
Yeah.
Right? This is just something he wants to do.
I mean, even within the system of hunting like what was the line that Mihawk said when they started hunting him? He's just like, dang, it's been a long time since I've been hunted.
It's been a long time since I've been
And so
hunted.
now he's just like, all right, reverse Uno, like let's do it, you know?
Yeah, all right, let's go. We're going at each other
and
now.
the thing that's really important here is that we don't know what is being given in terms of fulfilling these bounties. Like, is it money? And if it's money, then
yeah, who's funding this?
And that's where there's a few cool ideas that I had. Okay, so I think so Buggy could be rich on his own because he has the Buggy delivery service, right? I think we can agree that Crocodile and Mihawk probably don't have, especially after Impel Down, Crocodile probably doesn't have the funds.
They don't have.
Yeah. So to me, that's what
Mihawk maybe
he
could have like a stash somewhere, but I don't think
he does have that trust fund kid kind of vibe. That's true, but like, but I was thinking like, yo, that fourth spot is like, is it a person? Is Hancock here? I don't know.
Is it big news?
And okay, so big news is the crazy thing. So the person, I mentioned this in the Godfather Shanks video, is Wapol is Moneybags.
Okay.
Wapol is
metal.
across the world a global mogul of toys.
Yeah.
And what's really crazy is in chapter 956, he calls into Big News Morgans. And at that point, we already knew about the assassination. Oh, well, not we, but Morgans knew about the assassination, the kidnapping, all that stuff. And then CP whatever was trying to stop him. So we knew that's the news. But after that, there was someone told Big News Morgans, King Wapol is calling in. He has some really big intel. And I was thinking, yo, we didn't get any foreshadow to this, but that might have been the foreshadow, that Wapol is funding all of this. And not all of it, maybe it's a collaboration to some extent, but essentially like Wapol might have told Big News Morgans about this, because one thing we got to remember too is that this was I'm pretty sure this was distributed with all the news. So these, like, they have the bounties too, so that means Big News Morgans was probably the source of it. So if it was through Wapol that called him and that was the pull, then we got the person who has the money, but we also has the person who told Big News Morgans to spread around the Cross Guild and the bounties being put on the admirals, because you can print out your own bounty posters in your printer in the back, but like you have to distribute it somehow, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking that the Wapol might be related here, and he is a significant player because Wapol metal, like you mentioned.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I really like that they have almost like a benefactor, someone that's supporting this from the shadows almost. But I think this is like this faction Cross Guild, it just kind of exemplifies where the world is now, right? Where for the Marines and the world being like just completely total shit for them, it makes sense because they released the warlords, and because they let the warlords go, they were able to essentially create a Yonko out of this system that they left, which is almost Oda justifying the warlord system by saying, hey, if the warlords decided to team up, they equal a Yonko's crew in regards to influence and probably strength.
And so the balance of power is still here, but
the balance is still there, but it's in a different way. It's just like it's just allocated differently now, which is I think just fucking amazing, right? Just like genius for Oda to do that.
I'm wondering how though, when we last saw these characters, how do they get in touch? How do they? You brought up the Scar. I just saw. But
remember, Buggy has a delivery service, so I'm sure he knows how to get in touch with anybody.
Okay, yeah, and so Mihawk Scar.
The underworld is connected.
The island.
The underworld is always connected.
What did he fight SSG maybe? And there's just so many of them that first.
I don't know. Here's a crack theory.
Ooh, I go with the crack.
Vista joined the Marines, and Vista pulled up on Mihawk, and he got defeated, but he got a scar on him.
Interesting. I mean, to be fair, right?
That's just hyping up. Where's Taekwon? It wasn't Taekwon like hyping up Vista.
He said that Vista is as strong as
Well,
Mihawk.
that's what the Viver card kind of says, that Vista can box with Mihawk. It doesn't say he could beat him. You could just say box.
Right.
But just because you box doesn't mean you're stronger, right?
Doesn't mean you can.
Mihawk's legend so far in the story has kind of been the perception of him being
the strongest,
flawless, like so graceful that nobody's gonna touch him.
Right, and so him with his scar, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, when I saw the scar, I was saying that like whoever gave him that scar needs to be on watch, because Zoro is gonna show up in the middle of the night. Yo.
Not Zoro's just like, as long as it's not in black. No, I think, and Oda's showing a scar on purpose.
Yeah, that's what.
Like,
yeah,
Oda,
there's a lot of people thinking it's shading, but like we've seen Mihawk shirtless too many times for Oda to give us like a little bit of neck here, a little bit of, you know.
Yeah.
Imagine if Kizaru pulled up on him, somebody with a sword. I mean, I don't know who else. Rayleigh boxed with Kizaru, and he didn't get any injuries as far as we saw.
Really, yeah. The thing is, but that was so.
He wasn't hunting Rayleigh, but they were hunting Mihawk.
He wasn't hunting Rayleigh, and that was such a short period of time, right? So it's like, but I hear you. Whomever did this has to be formidable.
Whoever did this,
you know what I mean?
Like the other thought that I was going back to,
one of the baboons
was
Shanks Baboon. The Shanks Baboon did it.
Imitated the one-arm style.
The baboon loses
the Shanks
arm.
Baboon did the thing that I won't mention. The Shanks Baboon did
exactly.
The baboon just has his arm in a sling the whole time, like.
One arm. I'll just use one arm on you.
Yo,
that's all I need.
So with the scar thing, the other idea was back to the maybe they had like a fighting thing, like they had to run the gauntlet and like to be the captain of this thing, and maybe Buggy, because Buggy also scarred Zoro, so like maybe Buggy actually did that to him. I don't want to think that, but like,
and impressed him.
But like,
Mihawk's probably like nobody's been able to scar me in decades.
Yeah, like it was just like maybe it was like an accident, like Buggy's just, like that's his thing, and just like accidentally doing great things.
I mean, they did fight on Marine. They did fight on Marineford.
Yeah,
and Mihawk
Buggy is literally stumbling his way into greatness.
Yeah. Like I'm imagining like Buggy, like he threw his sword, like lightning struck it, it bounced off a rock. Mihawk just like was blinded and not paying attention. He got scratched, and it's like, all right, it's fine. You can be captain. It's cool. Like, something like that. Because Mihawk also doesn't really have like the ambition to lead. He's just Mihawk, right? Like wherever he is, he's just Mihawk, and it doesn't matter. Honestly, to the point where it's like it doesn't even matter if someone's above him. To the like, it's Mihawk,
Yeah, I think he's like just a title. Like it brings so much credibility to him that I don't question him at all. Like I really don't. And
it's kind of like Zoro too, right?
Yeah. It's just I don't question Mihawk's strength. He's legitimate, 100%. So yeah, I guess we spent a lot of time on Cross Guild, but that's what everybody's talking about. Yeah. The reactions to Cross Guild was interesting because they're like Crocodile, Mihawk, like they're working on the Buggy, and Zoro's like, I can't imagine him doing that, because remember they've interacted with Buggy, right? So they're like, hold on, Hawkeye and Crocodile, and knowing that these first off, Crocodile is a boss, right?
Yeah.
He's a boss. So they're like, wait, okay, Crocodile is one, but Hawkeye, he's a loner, and he does whatever he wants. On the Buggy, it's so odd of a grouping.
Even Law was pointing out something was.
I think Zoro should be upset, like really upset.
well, I'm wondering really about Zoro being briefly, involved into this reveal. Is Oda hinting at how he'll finally get to meet Mihawk again?
No, I was thinking about that. Like, this is the straight path for like. Because if, say, Mihawk is the right hand, quote unquote, of Buggy, right? Mm-hmm. Then that means, like, at some point, they're kinda in the same bracket.
This is an excuse to like they kind of all meet up, and then Zoro and Mihawk kind of go off and do their own thing. Like, this is none of our business. We're gonna go fight. Luffy and them, they all have their own silly fight, but Zoro has the serious fight of that interaction, right?
Yeah.
Everybody else is kind of off to the side.
Yeah, so maybe that's one way. It's Oda's created the path for Mihawk to meet again. I plan on talking about it in the video, but like I think it's brilliant.
The other way I was looking at it is like it could be that they're underneath Buggy, or maybe they're allianced, maybe like it is an equal footing thing, or the last one was related to the term guild. When you think about guilds, they have missions like in games and stuff and other anime. So Hiruden was considered an S-class fighter, but we know Hiruden is not fodder. He's a giant, but he's not like...
He's probably a C+.
Yeah, but he was considered an S. And so maybe it's just Crocodile and Mihawk completed like an SS, triple S plus tier mission, essentially.
Where they probably aren't going on a lot of missions themselves, but they're like, like maybe they're like... they're guild masters themselves.
Yeah.
You know,
Mihawk has a bunch of baboons under.
He got a bunch of baboons under him, right?
That's crazy.
And a bunch of people. But here's the thing:
Crocodile has like former Baroque works.
That's the thing as well. What this does is, for people that are like fans of Mihawk or trying to be like Mihawk, they're going to basically go to him. Yo, I just want to work under you.
Yeah.
Let me run missions for you. And Crocodile already having Baroque works. And his connection to the underworld, people are gonna go to him and say, "Yo, I just want to run missions."
I would love to see what happened to the other underworld emperors and them all showing up at Buggy's territory as an emperor and
like, "Yo, let's work together."
Yeah, and taking even Big Mom defeated now, and so now he's
because
tied to
listen,
them.
There's also incentive in cross guild being successful, because how many people would like for a kind to be taken out?
Yeah.
Admiral
bounties go nuts. Kong bounty.
What if we see Stussy? What if we see Stussy again? Like Stussy infiltrates, Buggy's organization because she's an underworld emperor technically, right? And so she shows up again, and they don't realize it. And unless she was exposed after Whole Cake, which I doubt she was, but he shows up again, and we kind of get a nice what's the word for it? Callback. But what I was going to say earlier, Brago, is so in terms of how the Yonko saga proceeds, we have Buggy, we have Shanks, we have Blackbeard, we have Luffy. Maybe this opens the door for Shanks and Blackbeard to collide while Luffy's dealing with Buggy, right? Maybe Luffy takes down Buggy first, right? And that's how Zoro gets his Black Blade. And because people often thought that maybe Zoro would get a Black Blade after defeating Shiryu, right?
Yeah.
But like maybe he'll have one against Shiryu, but it won't really matter for whatever reason, right? Because Shiryu, whatever his powers will actually be, that'd be interesting to see. That's one way to go about it. Who is Zoro's final opponent in the story? People think it should be Mihawk because nobody else really matters, but it's a downgrade, right? To go from Mihawk to Shiryu in terms of the order of things. So just going back to what we were saying earlier, is this one way for them to collide with each other? Which Yonko do you think goes down first? Is basically what I'm asking. Do you think it's going to be Shanks losing to Blackbeard?
It gotta be Shanks.
Do you think? Okay, and so that will then leave Blackbeard, Buggy, and Luffy.
Buggy and Luffy are gonna ally
unless Kid gets what he wants and is finally elevated to the status of an emperor.
I don't think that's gonna happen in our lifetime.
No.
That's Boofy time.
Yeah.
That's Boofy. Boofy's gonna have to take down Kid.
Yeah. Also, though, I think the Mihawk thing being with Buggy, this does. This somewhat keeps Mihawk occupied. So, because I know a lot of us have talked about before, like, what if Mihawk joined up with Shanks, right? Like, what if he went on to Shanks' territory, right? It's crazy that he went on to Buggy.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap right? After that.
If he goes on to Shanks, then I don't know if there's any conceivable way of you justifying Blackbeard's crew beating Shanks' crew, right? Unless Blackbeard does have Shiki, and if Aokiji's actually working with him. Like, it's so crazy, like, how many superpowers are there in the world? So, like, now the Straw Hats, they don't seem as scary, right? Even though they're still very, very scary, because they, like, outside of the monster trio, you could probably justify, obviously Jinbei was a warlord. Yamato, if she was, like, into, like, regular seas, she would get a warlord offer.
Instant.
You know what I mean? Like, and they just had basically both of those just join their crew. That's insane.
So Baku, do you think that Mihawk is still stronger than Luffy? Do you think that Gear 5 Luffy going all out could defeat Mihawk, or would he still lose?
I think it's really close. The only reason why I might give Mihawk the slight edge is because, again, swords are not Luffy's weakness, right? But it was pointed out enough in the Kaido fight that, hey, they are effective against you. And from what we know about Mihawk, assuming Mihawk has advanced conquerors, which I think he does, and of course he's clairvoyant and all this different stuff, I really think it would be a very difficult matchup for both of them, but I'm giving Mihawk the slight edge. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, it's hard to say how Luffy would interact with, like, because Kanabo hit him and he morphed to it. Can he, like, how does he interact with swordsmanship going forward? But we did see him getting slashed. So
Mihawk sends the flying slashes, right? And Luffy can. Go ahead.
Sorry, but Mihawk can cut anything he wants to if he knows
right.
what it is. If he knows your rubber and your malleable,
it should be able to cut it.
He should be able to cut right through you, regardless of what you try to do.
And he's not Zoro, and Luffy would be pure white, so we got that.
Exactly. So this should be fine. And I don't know, the thing that's clear in the One Piece world, right? Like the strongest people in the world, they have blades. Yeah, that's just
it's the most efficient weapon in One Piece.
It's the most efficient weapon, and so I think again, Luffy's not weak to blades, not weaker than everyone else, but they are more effective against him because he is a rubber man. So I'm slight edge to Mihawk, but I think it's really, really close. But this is like, I don't know. I know 956 was fantastic, but this might be just as big news as what we found on 956. Yeah. I don't know how you guys feel about that, where 956 is the warlord system being abolished. The warlords coming together and creating a Yonko crew, in addition to putting bounties in Marines' heads. Like, come on.
It's a little bit above that, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is
the community reaction. The community reaction, I don't know if it's been as...
It's not the same because I think it's crazy because I feel like there's a lot of things in this chapter people did not like, which I'm surprised about. Where I'm like, y'all are kind of nitpicking with this. Like,
I guess the end of the chapter, the second half of the chapter, I would say, is what I really enjoyed. Obviously, it's for all the
with like the straw hats and like the. I guess we can talk about that with like, Oda's basically telling us where they're going next, right? We're not flat out, but they're going to different islands, right? They're setting sail. Go ahead.
Did you guys? I was gonna say, did you guys see the what Joe Three Skulls had tweeted out, which is basically foreshadowing maybe from Nami back when she was like learning things about the log post, and it showed 3 islands.
Oh, that one.
Well, yeah, 3 directions. One has like death on it, which is similar to Law's hand tattoo, although I don't know if it's the same direction. And then one is a snowy island, which looks kind of similar to Yukiyuri, kind of, but where Shanks was, but who knows? And then another one's like a sunny island. But yeah, there's 3 islands on there, and it's like a parallel to this moment where there are 3
when they were talking to the Fishman Island Right Minister, I believe, and so he described it saying that he was describing how the log post has 3 things, and one can go to life, one can go to death, and one could just be like,
and one's going to like the snowy island.
Yeah. So
but the course, the decision may mean the difference between life and death, and like. Not saying that island is necessarily death. It's just like in comparison to the other islands, it's like it's difficult.
Yeah, more challenging.
Yeah, to me
but Law probably goes to the easier island, right? Like because of the route he took, maybe.
So I don't know if you guys have seen there was a map that like was put out by a magazine, and I don't hold the magazine to like a high standard because Artur said like they're like a third party, whatever, that kind of thing. And I think some of the kanji was off or something like that, but outside of Wano on the map, there were 3 islands listed there. And it was, I think one of them, I don't remember, but one of them was Hachinosu, Pirate Island, and then Elbaf. And so if the map lined up, then northeast would be Elbaf, east would be Pirate Island, and then the southeast one, I don't remember if that one was correct or like it was mislabeled.
I did see that map.
Yeah
I did see that. But it's like, I don't know. Do we know if that's correct?
So one thing that I was thinking about was when we think about Road to Laugh-Tale, Oda gave us 3 options for where the road poneglyph is. He said Elbaf, Pirate Island, or Vera, right? So it might, and the thing someone brought up in my stream was like Vera, it could be the island that Luffy's going to, and then the separation would be, one would be the Giants, Elbaf, which is also tied to Shanks. The other island's Blackbeard, and then the last island would be Vera, would be tied to the Revolution. So it might be that these things work. And the other part that makes it work was in chapter 228, when we learn about Vera, the panel that Oda put in the Road to Laugh-Tale, what it says was Nolan's log, and he says he was sailing from Vera, and he's gonna follow the log post and go northeast, and that kind of fits. Like if you were to go northeast, then you would hit one of those islands essentially. So it might be that the southeast one that Luffy's going to is Vera. There's just an idea, but I'm so more interested in the fact that Luffy and Kid both chose middle, and so if that's Pirate Island, maybe that says something about them as pirates, or they like Blackbeard, gravitate toward Blackbeard. I don't know.
If Kid does meet up with Blackbeard, what are the chances that they form their own pirate alliance because Kid has a grudge against Shanks?
Nah, Kid losing his other arm. Nah, I'm joking, but like, but
yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I mean, Kid's not gonna bow, obviously, and I don't think Blackbeard really wants you to bow necessarily. He kind of said to Moria, well, actually that's not true, because I think he would have probably killed Moria and taken his devil fruit if he hadn't agreed to join. So who knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I think it's an interesting theory. This whole
yeah, it's very interesting, very, very interesting. All right, what else is left in the chapter? All right, so part you wanted to go back to the moment of getting the straw hat thing.
Oh yeah, just like
wait, because we haven't talked about like that guy.
The man with the man marked by flames, the man with the burned scar. Yeah.
Based on what it said, right? Law gives Kid copy of the poneglyph. Law just being a good guy. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna give you the copy of the poneglyph. I'm still gonna beat you there, whatever, right? And then Kid, of course, in One Piece, it's always that guy, right? He said we ought to get serious about that guy. And then he said, you want to go after the men marked by flames, but we've got no leads, which is very interesting. And the reason why this was so interesting to me is that they somehow stumbled or found Shanks, who's labeled as one of the hardest Yonko to find, right?
Right.
But with this guy, they're like, we have no leads on this guy. So, and then the reactions was weird. Law had the sunken eyes. Robin had like the question mark. And Kid was almost gloating like, oh, you don't know? So with all the time that's passed, it's other shit going on. And I no longer think it's Sabo, and I do not think it's Aokiji.
Yeah.
Who do you guys think it is?
So what I think about the reaction is he's either saying, oh, you don't know as to the importance of this person, right? You don't really know the truth about this person, or he's saying, oh, you don't realize why this person is needed to get such and such.
The only thing I can think of is this person came out and said they had the last poneglyph.
I think that Scopper, I like the idea of Scopper Gaban.
Scopper is one.
Being related to Roger being important, and
because
why that stands
the
out.
important thing here to me is like a lot of the I made a spreadsheet of figuring out like there's so many options, and Oda did this on purpose. He did this on purpose. Like he gave us like so many, like I compared this situation to the cover story where we got the shadows on with Germa, and it's like, the vanilla answer was Germa, but like the theories went wild with the options, whereas in this situation, like you mentioned, there's so many data points to eliminate or confirm various options, and one of the most important ones that eliminated the best option, in my opinion, the vanilla option of Sabo, is if we want to stay ahead in the scramble for the One Piece, we got to get serious about that guy when we don't have any understanding of that Dragon, the Revolutionaries, or Sabo have any sort of like weight in that realm of the world. And then Aokiji, he's the other guy scarred by a thing, and he would be a good option. But also, like I was thinking about it, like the admirals would, in general, he's not an admiral anymore, but their position were to counter people going to the One Piece. So maybe that is what we're seeing here, but like then there's so many other weird options too. Scopper Gaban is a good one though.
Yeah,
what about if it's in terms of the old era? What about we were talking about Shiki earlier? What about Shiki the Golden Lion? Could he potentially be a man that's been marked by flames?
So I'm waiting for the official translations, because even TCB noted like it is a unique phrase, and I want to know what the officials say, because someone in my chat said that like if you put this phrase, the kanji, into a translator, a few of them, it says "scar of the sun," and I was like, oh, that's a very interesting one. I like the way that sounds, but then it ends up literally meaning like scratch of fire, scar, or burn. And like, so with that line of thinking, like this is so flexible with it, because I was also thinking like another important character that has flame tattoos, actually, like flame like tattoos. And I say tattoos because in Japan culture, tattoos are like, you know, get referenced in like a negative light a lot of ways, where it can be like a, like, you know, not an accepted thing and seen as like scars or bad or that kind of thing. And Urouge is a character that has been essentially shadowing Kid through the entire time skip. When Kid made his alliance and Kaido fell down, Urouge was there. When Kid went to Big Mom's island, Urouge went after. And so if we're talking,
yeah, Urouge is another good one that people were talking about, and he's the only, well, I would say he's the only supernova that has not been prominent in the world yet, because even Bonnie, we know she had something to do with what went on with the with Sabo and Kuma in Mary Joa. So Urouge is like,
that's a great point. I just looked at Urouge a while ago.
Every other supernova we've gotten something from, right?
His arms have a. Let me look.
They got like flame. It's like a flame tag.
Yeah,
almost
his arms
on both
have fire.
arms.
A man marked by flames on him, but is he? I mean, is it really being marked or tattooed with flames?
Yeah, that's why I'm waiting for the officials to see.
It's tough. The official's going to be really important in this one.
And he fits the other check boxes. Like, yeah, that makes sense. Luffy wouldn't know.
And why would it be hard to find? I don't know. Why would it be hard to find Urouge necessarily? Because he was in.
I mean, we don't have any leads on
Island.
Well, remember, Urouge was in Sky Island.
He was in Sky
Balloon
Island,
Terminal, yeah.
Cake Island.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so it's like Balloon Terminal. So it's he's somebody like he's probably not that easy to find.
Yeah. And the other part of it, it's like you don't know, and it's like is it from the news? Because the news is also weird too, because like from our understanding, Luffy hasn't read anything about Sabo yet, but the news is there. So like I don't
Yeah, I get the feeling
know what's going on with that part. But like the you don't know situation, it's like some people were saying dragon, and I was like, yeah, like Luffy's dragon son, and it's like that wouldn't really make it could be, but it wouldn't make sense with this dialogue again. And
the only way that would be important is if Dragon died, and Dragon's not there. So
and the thing with Urouge is a character. I think like unlike all the other Supernova or Worst Generation members, we have even Blackbeard. We have a better idea about them than we do Urouge. Right?
Listen,
like
Urouge is either like
mystery. I think Urouge is very important for the story because he's wings, right? And so akin to these sky people, there has to be something that he'll be able to reveal to us about the past. Maybe.
And his,
right?
I would say Urouge may either be Blackbeard's 10th captain, right?
Oh yeah.
Or he has something to go with the guy marked by fire. But I think at this point we need it's time for something Urouge.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just time.
If Urouge, the idea that Urouge is the 10th Titanic captain, I think I like it thematically because they have a huge thing about like luck and fate and destiny, and then Urouge is karma. Yeah. So like karma is like I talked about this so many times where I think
good and bad.
Yeah, like in the future of One Piece, when you think about the will of D passing on inherited will, that is like a karmic like passing on. Yeah. So Urouge is going to be really, really important. I don't know if he's this man, but like the options, it feels.
I love the options though. All the options are hype as hell.
Yeah.
It's like Urouge, Shiki, Scopper, Gabon.
Someone brought up Bullet, Douglas Bullet, and I was like,
Bullet would be a great. And again, we talk about movie characters then being made canon. The only thing again, the strength we know of Douglas Bullet.
He's too strong.
The thing is, like Eustace Kid's Devil Fruit, in my opinion, should be superior.
Yeah, but Kid is Kid.
No, but Bullet does not, like, even in his base, he is a monster.
And Kid is Kid. He's not known for the best Devil Fruit ability, like capability of himself.
Was Kid this strong when
no
Stampede?
They weren't this strong. So, I would say Bullet, from what we saw in Stampede, if I could assess it, it's probably around
Kid's level.
Probably a bit higher than Kid.
High key, I just realized Kid's Awakening would work in Bullet's favor because that's what Bullet would want.
He's slightly higher than Kid in Law, but I think he'd probably lose to the Admirals. But he's probably around Sabo. Probably lose to Sabo, like around there, like probably like that in between, like Ben Beckman, but not necessarily on Yonko, but Ben Beckman, like around there. That's how I view Bullet. So I don't think he's he's not too strong.
I think the other options to eliminate thing is it's like, does Law's face is really interesting here. Like why did this person,
why did Law react that way? Did Law ever interact with him or something?
And what character would make him look like that?
Law was doing a lot. So Law was doing a lot of stuff during
the time skip. Yeah. Maybe at one point he ran into him.
With Kobe, right? There's a lot of things about Law we don't yet fully understand. He took down Kaido. What's his true goal, right? Like,
where is Drake going? Wait, I just realized Drake is here, right? And he's just like chilling. You mentioned Kobe.
I think Drake. Well, we talked about the what happened to Big Mom and Kaido, what happened to King and Queen,
what happened to Drake, Apu.
Yeah. So like, I think they might have just slipped out.
I think they just left.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I wonder where Drake would go because he was exposed by CP0. So where would Drake go?
Yo, just speaking of, I just saw Kobe in his fit for Film Red. Oh my god.
Oh, I gotta see this.
Oh, word.
Kobe Film Red.
You gonna spoil it?
Yeah, you gotta be careful right now with Film Red shit on Twitter.
You're gonna find something.
I'll just stick to the little picture. Okay, I see it. Okay, all right. Wait, he just looks like a schoolboy.
Nah, it's a different
Okay,
thing
never mind. I won't look that deep then.
Yeah, it's a different fit, man. It is incredible. But no.
Wait, talking about this this page, did you guys? It is. What do you guys think about the theory that I'm liking the theory, especially now that Killer is 3-eyed from this? What do you think about that? Because the way I was seeing it is that, like, if they're all pursuing the One Piece, they need someone like a Robin, or they need an Odin, but they're not going to have an Odin, and they're not going to. And
they're not worried about reading it. It seems like they're fine. Like they're like, it's not a concern to them.
But like Law, he tapped into wrong terminology, but he utilized Robin's expertise for his benefit, probably from our understanding. And then Killer here, he opens up the poneglyph and he the rubbing looks at it. I think like it would make sense that he, like, it's not like he's from Ohara. It's not like he's a Kozuki. So the other option would be if someone's able to read it, he's 3-eyed, right?
That would be amazing. I would love that so much.
Yeah.
That would make me respect Kid Screw again, because the only thing I did not like was that Nico Robin seemed to be the only route. Now she is not.
Yeah.
Right? So if Killer is indeed 3 eyes, I would love that so much.
Yeah, once I saw, because it was like a theory floating around, and it made sense because he always covered his forehead in any situation. Yeah. Even when Oda drew him as a kid, his forehead is covered.
Yeah.
And then we see here he's like, he was handed the rubbing, he opens it up, and then he starts talking about it, right?
Yeah. So, he's like, oh, it's the same one. Sakata did have one. Yeah. The 3-eyed thing has a lot of merit, and this is something that's been talked about since, I don't know, for a long time with Killer. It was speculated ever since we found out about it in Whole Cake Island.
Yeah.
So this is a really good one. So Yamato, it seems like she's about to join the crew to live like Oden did. Chapters over. You wanted to talk about something with the Straw Hats and Momonosuke. After you say that, then we can start the episode.
Yeah, I just wanted to just like talk about this all in one go, because it's really interesting with, like, one, this struck a chord with me because it's like this 8-year-old, he's still 8 years old. He's like, he was already resigned to be the shogun, and then they just like leave without saying goodbye. And I was like, damn, they didn't need to do him like that. And I get it, they're pirates, they don't say goodbye, it's too sappy, whatever. But I was like, damn, dude, how they do him like that. And then the part that ties in really interestingly to me, because when I read this last page, like up until here, I was not up until, but like I was like, yo, Yamato's joined the crew, we got that from Momo last chapter, we got that from Momo this chapter, and then she's still here and she's like, yeah, I've made up my mind. And I was just like, I thought you always wanted to go, like what were you contemplating about? And then now,
well, it seemed like Momonosuke did not impress her in that showing against
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like maybe she saw that like Wano still needed her presence to like hold down the fort against whatever comes next. And it's just, now it's like, it's finally time for me to live like Odin. And when I put this part together, I'm just like, is this, if she runs to the coast, Momo and Odin run to the coast, Momo and Yamato run to the coast, like what exactly happens? Like, right? Because like we'll probably get like a VV callback with the Momo situation, like we're always friends, that kind of thing. But with the Yamato thing, It's like if she ran up and be like I'm gonna join and I'm Odin, do you think Luffy lets that happen? And then also like it's weird because I feel like she's joining, but like this last part was just like, is she gonna make it? Like, are they gonna do it, or what's gonna happen? I don't know.
Listen, she has to because of what happened with Ace. Like, remember she ran to the coast and watched Ace sail away. It's like it would be too heartbreaking if Oda lets her run to the coast and watch the Straw Hat sail away.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That I don't think that ties in there. So she has to go with them, bro. She has.
It was just an interesting thing for Oda to like put in that like. Yeah, I made up my mind. It was just like
it seemed like she was definitely like on the fence. Like she was definitely.
I think Yamato goes. Jinbei had mentioned, you need to get permission from the captain first, which is surprised that she didn't already get the permission. But they'll probably deal with that issue in the next chapter. That will fully. Wano will probably conclude obviously next chapter when we get back from break, and we'll go to the next island or find out what's going on outside the world.
I just hope we don't skip forward again. All of a sudden, the Straw Hats is sailing away. And Yamato's on the ship. You know what I mean? Like
but what I would like to see in place of that moment where Yamato like Vivi is Momonosuke, because as we saw this chapter, Momonosuke wondering why nobody said goodbye, and Kinemon wondering that as well. Should we not get some redress for that? And so I think that Momonosuke running out there just to say thank you. He's not trying to join, but just like Vivi, right? Saying thank you, for saving Alabasta. Thank you for saving Wano.
Yeah,
kind of fits the pattern.
I also realized they can't run away from Momo because he could just turn into a dragon and fly at them, and they can't really do much about that. And then
Yamato should be able to skywalk.
But people were saying like, oh, it's gonna be the same thing as Odin. She's gonna get like dragged by the ship and like go through a trial. I'm like, she's a devil fruit user. That's not gonna happen. But like, but I think maybe we'll get this scene where Momo turns into dragon form. Kinemon and Yamato fly over, say goodbye. Maybe that's how it goes down. That would be interesting, I guess.
That would kind of fit in terms of Momonosuke potentially being an ancient weapon. We did see Shirahoshi when they left Fishman Island, right? And Shirahoshi was like kind of going after them. From what I remember, right? Yeah, Shirahoshi was kind of. Correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong, but Shirahoshi was kind of swimming, I think, and said goodbye or whatever.
I don't remember that too well, but that would make sense actually.
Yeah. I guess we finally got through this chapter 2 hours later. Do you guys have any final thoughts on 1056? I think this is one of my favorite chapters ever. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a great chapter. I prefer, one of my favorite chapters. One of my favorite chapters of Wano, definitely top 5, is officially going to be chapter 1054 and 55. Both of those are in the top 5 chapters for obvious reasons. Shanks in them. Hype moments from Shanks. Anytime the man's in the story, it's always hype. But yeah, chapter 1056 was definitely great. Great chapter of Wano. Despite whatever issues some people might have, I'm sure we all have issues with every arc, especially Wano as well. It's definitely a good conclusion, I think, to the arc, or a fairly good conclusion.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah. For me, like 1054, 1055, 1056 were like I was joking, like I need a jaw replacement because my jaw dropped so many times. Like the cross guild, like to me 1054 and 1055 hit different, but 1056, and I any time and someone asked me like, oh, what do you expect for 1056, I was like,
I start doubting me, I felt lost.